If you've ever sat down after a round of user interviews, stared at a wall of sticky notes, and thought, where do I even begin? You're not alone. Welcome to Strategic AI Synthesis, how to move from research overload to strategic sense-making using artificial intelligence as your thinking partner. In this lesson, we'll explore how AI can transform the way UX researchers and strategists turn raw, messy data into clear, actionable insight. Let's start with the reality most researchers live in every day. The data we work with is inherently indirect. Users can't always tell us what they need. They show us through behavior, language, contradiction, and silence. The gap between that messy reality and a clear strategic insight is enormous. Our job is to filter signal from noise, but the sheer volume of data we're dealing with has made that harder than ever. This is the research overload problem. Imagine a funnel. At the top, you have interviews, surveys, usability sessions, field studies, analytics, and more, all pouring in at once. At the bottom, you need crisp, synthesized insight ready to inform product decisions. The synthesis step in the middle is where most research teams struggle. It's cognitively expensive, time-consuming, and often where insight gets lost or diluted. This is precisely where AI enters the picture. AI is most powerful not at the data collection stage, but in the high cognitive load zone between collection and insight. This is the pattern recognition layer, where AI can accelerate your analysis by processing large volumes of qualitative and quantitative data faster than any human team. It doesn't replace the researcher. It handles the heavy lifting so the researcher can focus on what matters most: interpretation. So what can AI actually do in this zone? It can summarize large bodies of text, identify recurring themes across dozens of sessions, highlight unusual or outlying data points that humans might miss, and suggest possible interpretations for ambiguous findings. Think of it as surfacing signals buried in the dataset, pulling the needle out of the haystack so you can evaluate it with your expertise. But here's what's important to understand. AI is a companion in this process, not the lead researcher. Its role is to accelerate exploration, to help you move through the data faster, cover more ground, and generate more hypotheses than you could alone. But it's still the researcher who guides interpretation, contextualizes findings within business goals, and determines what actually matters. This distinction is captured in what we call the division of labor. AI can process, cluster, summarize, and surface. Humans must evaluate, interpret, contextualize, and validate. AI brings speed and scale. Humans bring judgment and strategic awareness. When these two work together in the right way, the output is dramatically stronger than either could produce alone. And this brings us to one of the most critical principles in AI-assisted research. Human judgment must remain central. AI will surface patterns, but it cannot tell you whether those patterns are meaningful in the context of your users' lives, your organization's strategy, or your product's constraints. That evaluation is yours. The researcher must ask, does this insight reflect something true and important? Is this theme worth pursuing? Does this finding have strategic weight? No algorithm can answer those questions for you. With that foundation in place, let's look at 6 specific ways AI amplifies research throughput. First, rapid transcription and summarization, turning hours of recordings into structured text in minutes. Second, theme clustering, grouping related observations across sessions automatically. Third, anomaly detection, flagging outliers that might otherwise be overlooked. Fourth, hypothesis generation, suggesting possible explanations for what you're seeing. Fifth, cross-study synthesis, connecting findings across multiple research efforts. And sixth, report drafting, generating structured first drafts of insight documents you can then refine. These 6 capabilities combine into what we call the insight flywheel, an iterative cycle between AI and human roles. The flywheel moves through 4 phases: exploration, where AI processes and surfaces data; meaning-making, where the researcher interprets and guides; data refinement, where AI reruns analysis based on your direction; and strategy validation, where the researcher tests insights against business context. Each cycle deepens the analysis and sharpens the output. So how do you put this into practice? There are 4 key techniques. First, structure your prompts carefully. The quality of what AI surfaces is directly tied to how clearly you ask. Second, use AI to identify patterns across sessions before drawing conclusions yourself. Third, use AI generated hypotheses as a starting point for your own analysis, not as a finished answer. And fourth, combine methods. Use AI for speed on large data sets and reserve deep human analysis for the sessions or moments that seem most strategically significant. And so we arrive at the new synthesis paradigm. In this model, AI handles the cognitive heavy lifting of processing and pattern recognition, while human researchers provide the interpretive intelligence that turns data into strategy. The researcher's role doesn't diminish, it evolves. You become less of a data processor and more of a strategic sense maker. The result is faster research cycles, richer insights, and decisions that are both data-informed and deeply human. That is the promise of strategic AI synthesis.